Your friends call you Doc? Anybody still call you Doc?
All of my Marines
Can I call you Doc?
You can call me Doc if you'd like.
It'd be an honor if I could.
Anthony Amon's his name. His mission on the battlefield was to provide critical medical care.
I don't even have time to think when I'm doing all this. It's just a matter of just staying focused and thinking medical skills. My platoon sergeant told me to run.
Did you at any point feel like this is more than I signed on for? I mean, was that what you were looking for?
You don't even really have time to think about that, to be honest. You're just out there to do a job, whether you believe in it or not.
Anthony lost the lower part of his left leg and has endured about 30 surgeries on his right one over the past 3 years.
These 2 years of some rehab down in San Diego, you've started something called Wings for Warriors.
The morning of July 21st, 2008, my group, a 2-7 Fox company, pushed out to do an ambush on the Taliban. And in the beginning it was successful, and then there was counterattacks from our sides, and there was several explosions. We had air support helping us out with 500-pound bombs. I can't recall if it was the Air Force or Marine Corps jets that were dropping them. But it was just a really rough morning, and people from all different angles were getting hit. And it really, they call that kinetic or chaotic, you know. You can just imagine all the calls on the radio. People are yelling, there's explosions going off, machine gun fire. And this was all while we were supposed to watch, kind of like a ravine behind us. There was a wall, and then we were looking over that wall to make sure that the Taliban enemies weren't gonna come from that angle. It was the one angle that, you know, we had secure, and we wanted to keep it that way. And I was there against this wall for a little while. And then we started getting more and more calls over the radio. Guys were getting hurt, guys were getting hurt. And as a combat medic, my sole purpose of being there, it isn't to shoot a gun that we do at times. It's not to, you know, bite the grenade and throw those out. It's honestly to provide medical attention, to render medical skills to the guys that need your help when they get hurt. And it's not a matter of if they get hurt, it's when they get hurt. And this was my moment, not necessarily to shine, but this was my moment to do what I was called to do. And I was told to wait from several different people in charge, because there were already some other medics in that particular area of where these gentlemen were getting hurt, these other Marines. And then at one point, things started to kind of, like a roller coaster, it'd go up, then it'd go down, go up, go down. So the energy was just all over the place. And then at one point, we get a call over the radio, and someone was hurt, wounded severely. And they needed, this corpsman that was already working on this particular Marine called over the radio and says, I need Doc Ameen, you know, I need his help. And this is one of the best corpsmen that I met in the military. And for him to say he needs help, obviously the situation was bad, because there's not any situation in my heart, knowing how skilled that this particular guy is. If he needs my help, then it's got to be a bad situation, because he's an excellent corpsman. And I also had a pull-less litter in my bag. And so pull-less litter is basically a litter that doesn't have a pole like you would see in Vietnam or World War II. It's actually just a canvas tarp that 3 or 4 guys can hold and pick up a body, basically. And I was running to get to him, and I remember it was kind of like an alleyway. And I remember we were told from my platoon sergeant to watch our feet, and then he even told us, hey, take a knee, chill out for a second. And the Air Force or Marine Corps dropped another 500-pound bomb. Once the shock wave, if you will, or once the bomb had been dropped in its place, that's when he just said, get up, go, go, go. So as we're running, and I'm getting closer and seeing what I was about to go help my corpsman friend deal with and manage, I realized, wow, I really need to get there fast. And it was at that moment where I realized how slow the minesweeper in the beginning of this 4-man element was running and leading us to the casualty. And as a corpsman, I'm trained, like I mentioned earlier, you're trained to do one thing only, and that's save the life of a wounded Marine or a wounded comrade, you know. And I stepped out of the 4-man element knowing that there's IEDs all over the place, and I just started booking it. And then, boom. That's when I stepped on the IED. I ask myself every day, should I have done that? But the way I look at it too is, maybe I stepped out of line to take the ID for somebody else that was behind me. Maybe I stepped out of line because I wanted to get there quicker, and I wanted to prove that, hey, this guy needs our help. There's a million questions I can ask myself, but I feel like I did the right thing. As a corpsman, You don't hesitate. You act, you do what you feel is necessary. In times of medical need, the corpsman is in charge. At that point, I felt like I was in charge to get there as fast as possible and help my other corpsmen out to help attempt to save the life of a Marine. And he later on passed and was not able to make it back home. And you know, that's another one of the million questions I ask is if I wouldn't have tried to get to him even quicker, would I have not stepped on the bomb? Would I have been able to help him out? I still in my heart feel like I did the right thing, and I definitely know that he's in a better place. And I just God bless him as well as his family that I've become quite close with the last few years and hope to continually get closer with them. The injuries that I received due to the IED was actually a pressure plate IED. For those of you who don't know, I put pressure on the top of the plate, and then as soon as that bottom plate is touched with the top plate, it actually ignites the bomb, and it was a mortar shell. And I believe that there were two on top of each other, and the one on the bottom didn't go off. I've heard all kinds of stories about, you know, what was supposed to happen or what could have happened, and I'm fortunate to say that I lived out of that. I'm really blessed to be here. And then as far as the injuries, I completely shattered my right leg between my ankle and my knee. It just completely shattered my tibia and fibula. And my left leg, it was more ankle down, was just mangled, and I can feel it inside my boot. I can't explain it. I think the shock was so intense that I felt more my right leg than I did the left, because I believe the blast hit the left the hardest, but it went up and just kind of did damage to my right leg. And I've actually had, to date, I've had 26 surgeries on my right leg, probably about 4 or 5 on my left, and with the amputation. And then I had maybe another 3 or 4 on my left hand. Had to get a metal plate and reconstructive surgery to my middle finger. Great surgeons, you know, great medical skills that these guys performed on me and all the other wounded warriors out there. But, you know, I've had, I think, 32 surgeries altogether, and just battling infections, osteomyelitis, you know, and then of course PTSD as a mental scar. So it all started with me being very cautious and concerned of my personal well-being as a patient, because I know how patients should be treated. I know how I've treated patients in the past, and I was watching the nurses, the doctors, the case managers, and without them knowing, I was watching their every move, and I always just kind of kept my mouth shut, at least for the first 6 to 8 months. And I noticed there were so many people not passionate about their jobs, so many people that honestly, as far as the paperwork procedures are concerned, they have a 9-to-5 job. They go to work, they do their thing, and they go home at 5. They go eat dinner with their families, they go to bed, they wake up, and it's the whole song and dance again the next day. Whereas we, the wounded warrior, we're in that hospital bed, we're missing our Marine, we're wondering why we're different. We're crying uncontrollably for no reason, and not knowing where those tears are coming from or why we're crying. We're not trusting our families, we're not trusting our spouses. We can't hold our little boys or our little girls because we're a different person and we're fragile. And you have these people that aren't passionate about their jobs, making sure that we get the adequate healthcare benefits that we're due. And I think that the way I see it, you have I think it's 1-2% of Americans actually join the armed forces and fight. And given that number, I would say that you would think that they would roll out the red carpet for these wounded warriors and making absolute 100% certain that they're getting the healthcare and financial benefits that they're entitled to. And you'd be amazed, roughly 50,000, as of yesterday, 50,000 wounded warriors have been injured in combat from Iraq as well as Afghanistan. We really do hope to shift and change some of the issues that are, you know, red flags right now with financial institutions and government institutions that understand that these issues are there, but I don't see a lot of changes, and that's what I'm hoping to change. And it's not to change, I got my benefits, it's not for me, but through getting my own personal benefits, I've been able to, you know, hopefully tackle all the guys that are going through this right now, but eventually, if I do this enough, maybe people will finally get the point and understand that things do need to be changed, and that's why I'm doing this, is to help make that change.